Alright, today we're here to talk about grinding. Not grinding in anything. We're talking about video game grinding, for the most part. Yeah, grinding. What is it? Well, we'll take a look right here with Wikipedia, our favorite place to gain all our information from that is, well, completely written by other people. The general use of the word grinding in video games is performing repetitive tasks. Now, these tasks are usually lead to some sort of reward that people enjoy, or at least hopefully. Yeah, about that. Now, we're going to move to the Urban Dictionary definition of grinding, as written by 2D411, with a lot of upvotes, a lot of thumbs up. For some reason, there's 93 down. It's when you're working hard, either at work or at a job. Which obviously, if you work at a job, you're getting paid money, or at least I hope you are. Because if you're not, you should get a new job or try to find a new one because you need money. Now, my personal thoughts are very important. Where grinding is a necessary evil. Without grinding in games, there's no work to lead to that ultimate payoff. Now, I've asked a few people how they define grinding. And this is where we get into these weird names of people that I've asked around on the internet. Some friends, some public discords. I only got like 5 answers, so there's that. And we're going to use 5 answers to make a video. So we have the Yordle Impregnator. I hate my friends sometimes. Repetitive tasks that hold little to no reward until you do X amount. I'm going to take this line and say that basically you're doing a repetitive task. Keyword, repetition. And it builds and builds and builds until you get to that big moment where you're like, yes, I'm done. I'm going to move on to the next person now. We got Lil TJ. To grind. I can't even read words. Anyway, to me, grind means to repeat various tasks or sequences of events to acquire gear, levels, and or items to increase your strength in the game. Now, Lil TJ mentioned specifically strength. Does a grind always have to be strength giving? No. It could be something else. Usually, that could be a cosmetic. But mainly, strength. Strength is what people love to look at. Alright, let's move on to the next one. The Architect. What players are forced to do when a dev does lazy game design. On one hand, grind really is just a way to lengthen out the process of earning an item. On the other hand, that process, when it's not too long and the reward is just right, leads to a satisfaction that the player can feel when they finally complete their task. It is a little lazy because devs are not exactly making multitudes of content to satisfy a player's need of different objectives. I'm going to move on some more. Daedalus007 says, grind equals to perform an undesirable action repeatedly despite not being fun, engaging, interesting, or really worthwhile other than for an ulterior, I probably pronounced that wrong because I can't speak right now, future goal. Now this is closer to how I feel about grind. But I also don't feel that grind needs to be fun. Because fun is not the most important thing to games. or at least when you're doing something to work toward a goal. The point is that you feel satisfied and fulfilled, and that your entire time grinding was worth it. Now, if the satisfaction does not exist, then the grind is just something that makes people mad. And people don't like being mad on video games. And now my final one. My boy Poppy. He says to me, it means I gotta farm or continue playing the game continuously until I reach my desired point or achievement. And, well, yeah. There are many games in which we grind it, which I probably should have written a list. I'm just gonna use my desktop as that list. I'm let me go to it as soon as I can find it. Bring it to me. You know, we yeah. So, Final Fantasy XIV, an MMORPG. People say you have to grind the MSQ, which, if we go back to previous people's answers, undesirable, unfun. For some people, the MSQ is an unfun thing for them to do. It is a grind to get to the dungeon. It is a grind for them to get to the raid. But for others, MSQ isn't a grind. You're not technically doing the same repetitive thing. That's like saying reading a book is a grind. To get to the end, of course. Do you think reading a book is a grind? Black Desert Online is another game where we talk about grinding. It is the most classic form of grinding in a video game. You kill a lot of enemies to gain XP, to gain currency, and to gain items. And when I say a lot of enemies, I don't mean 50. I do not mean 100. I mean you will kill thousands. You will be reaching near genocidal levels of a group of mobs in an area. You will grind an area for hours. But is grinding all that bad? To some people, yes. To others, they pop on some good tunes and they just enjoy the grind. They sit there, they grind for hours. Vast open fields, laying waste to their enemies. All for that little bit of silver to increase something. And even then, if they're not grinding that, they're grinding something else. They might be actively fishing. They might be actively gathering. All to make some meters move up. But it is enjoyable to them. It's they're basically living in that world, doing a job. Not quite different from their real jobs but also different because, in real life you can't hunt down monsters for money and loot. Or can you? Alright, no you can't. Now I'll move on. Genshin Impact. A game that has been on my playing every single day since it came out almost a year ago. Can you really grind in that? Of course you can. You sure can. You will be doing the same domains until you get your drops. You will be doing your talent materials, your ascension materials, running around, gathering and looting. Chest. And there's a lot of chest. There's so many chest. You'll be opening chest, solving puzzles. Now, is it a grind? Yes and no. No, because you're not always doing the same thing. but it can be very repetitive, especially that artifact grinding when you're trying to get them god rolls or even just basic good useful rolls. That is that's a grind, and without a doubt, it is very much a grind. Is it the most satisfying grind? Does it give you that dopamine kick? Sometimes. And then other times you're like, finally, I've got this good rolled artifact. Now I hope I level it up, so I don't have to go find another good one, and I hope it all matches up and gives me the perfect stats. Is it a grind you have to do? Well, no, because beating the... Yes. Actually, yes, it is a grind you have to do because you have to make your character strong enough to clear content. Anyway, another game that I can easily put on my list, Monster Hunter. Now, Monster Hunter is also another legitimate grind. But I don't think I've ever heard anyone say anything bad about Monster Hunter grind. Except decoration farming, where it has the highest amounts of RNG. But that actually pulls me back to another point. Is grinding all that bad? No, I don't think so. I don't think grinding's that bad. I think it is a necessary evil. Without grind, there's not much to work for when you're just done. Grind extends the life of a game. And that keeps us entertained. I didn't finish talking about Monster Hunter. What makes that grind really fun? The actual combat with the monsters is some of the best big monster fights in any video game. It has a rewarding feel when you finally beat that monster, and then you know you're gonna go back. And when you're gonna go back and you're gonna try and get more of its materials. And you're gonna build that armor, or you're gonna build that weapon, and you're gonna upgrade it, and you're gonna kill that thing a lot. Or capture it. You don't actually have to kill them. You just wound them, and you put them in a net, and you haul them back. Alright. Now, a lot of these games I've also mentioned do have dailies, and they don't always have to be very long. It could be about 15, 20 minutes of your time, but you're going to go on and do it every single day until you have your desired reward. And that's a grind. You're doing a repetitive task. It may not be for continuous hours on end, but it is for over the course of days. All right. What else am I going on about this? Anyway. So I've also heard grinding in like League of Legends. Grinding ranked. Now, every multiplayer game is not exactly the same, so it's never actually repetitive. It may feel repetitive to you in your mind, but you can't turn your brain off and expect to do well. Some people can, but for the general amount of people, you can't. So, good luck with that. Yeah, that's not real grinding. That's playing a game. It may feel like grinding because you're not enjoying yourself and you're not having fun, but that is a completely different thing. Grinding does not mean not having fun or not enjoying yourself. Grinding is very specific to performing a repetitive task. Queuing up into a game of League of Legends by itself is not a repetitive task. Wait, I said that wrong. Queuing up and getting into a game is a repetitive task, but the act of playing the game is not repetitive, because not every single game is going to play out exactly the same. You can also apply that to any competitive game. Any multiplayer online game that isn't co-op. Specifically, that isn't co-op, because co-op games can be repetitive. Like Borderlands. If you do the same thing, you will be doing the same thing. PvE games can be repetitive, Multiplayer online games can feel repetitive, which is different. The perception of repetitiveness is very different from the actual repetitive nature of the thing being done. I feel like I'm saying too many words as I'm going on and on. Uh, you know, you could say that I'm rambling on. So I'm gonna probably cut it short here, and I'm gonna hope that this video comes out well, and I don't hate myself for it. So you stay classy.